What's up? We're gonna press it to the max today, buying it for 500. Came over to Capri Poker House. Let's get into this action.
I buy in for $500 and get right into the action when I look down at, wait, never mind, not that hand. Here I am in the big blind. I look down at 8 for offsuit. What the hell? Oh, only one limper? Okay, I check. End up getting a pretty decent flop with 4-8-4. And of course I check because there's only one limp. And the turn is a 6 of diamonds when the opponent checks back. I check again, and now he bets $10, and I'm going to go ahead and see if we can't build a pot. I raise to $20. He calls. The river is the ace of hearts. I'm going for max value here. I bet $40, and he calls. I win with a full house. He doesn't show. And we are off to the next hand. I have ace-10 offsuit under the gun. I open to 25. This is a little loose for full ring, but we're only sitting 7-handed, but I don't recommend doing this a lot. But occasionally, to balance your range, I think it's fine. I get two of the loosest players at the table to call. The flop comes queen 10-3 rainbow. The big blind checks, and now with middle pair and top kicker, these players' ranges being very, very wide pre-flop, I bet $60, and the calling station in middle position makes the call. The big blind folds. The turn is a 6 of hearts, which changes absolutely nothing, but the pot is getting a little large for my hand strength, so I decide to check. Middle position checks back. That's kind of interesting. The river is the 2 of hearts. Since this player has shown no aggression with his other random top pairs and 2 pairs, I decide to take the lower variance route and check. This river is a brick. I do feel I have the best hand and should be betting. He checks back and shows down king 10, and I win. Moving on, I do feel like I missed some value in that hand, but we are early on in the session and there is no shortage of value at this table. We get dealt into a bomb pot where we pot bet twice with the nut straight on one board, and I think bluff our opponent off of a chop. Good news for us. The next hand we're going to go over is an Omaha hand. We are in the small blind and there is a straddle, so the blinds are 1, 3, 6. Quite a few limpers come around. We have Jack 10, 3, 3 double suited in the small blind, and the flop comes Queen 3, 4 rainbow. I check to check raise. The action checks around. The turn is a 5 of diamonds. Now I decide to lead for $40 with my set and possible redraw if I need it. Player to my left goes all in for 110, and the loose action player, he decides to call the 110. There are 2 folds, and now it's on me with the diamond redraw. I decide to just go ahead and call with one player all in. The river is a 5, giving us a full house. I decide to bet pot and put the other player all in. He decides to fold. I show and scoop up this nice sized pot. I'll be honest, I don't have much analysis or hand breakdown, at least properly, or enough understanding of Omaha to do one, so I just do this and go over the hands because I don't want to not report them or not have them in the vlog. This is what our stack is looking like. Let's keep this momentum up. Moving forward, in the big blind, I look down at Queen Jack offsuit. There is about 4 limps, and this is not a hand I want to squeeze with as I have some calling stations in the pot. So I just check. Flop's okay, Queen, Queen 9, and I decide to check. The action checks around, and the turn is a 10. Now the small blind, who has a very high VPIP, bets $25. I raise the minimum to 50. The loose action calling station player behind us calls, and the small blind calls. The river is a queen of holy. I just hit quads. Now the small blind checks. I am going max pressure, max value, and I bet $130. Middle position folds, and the small blind is now in the tank. I'm praying he finds a call. And then I hear those words. All in for 350-ish. I snap call, ship it, let's go. Stack's looking real great right now, sitting on about 1,400. But you know what they say, once you go up, must come down, I guess. I lose a small, like $40-ish pot or so with Queen 9 when I flop top pair, and an older gentleman just decides to take us to Value Town with $12 bets on 3 streets. I don't think our friend that we beat with quads is very happy with us. We look down at King Jack of clubs in the big blind. The table folds to the button, who limps, and the small blind, who's our friend, he completes. I raise the $15 and both of them call. The flop is Queen 9-7. The small blind checks and I bet super small, about $10. The button folds, but the small blind decides to min raise us to 20, so I call. The turn is a jack, and now he leads out for 25. I call. The river is a brick, and he bets $50. I think he could very well be bluffing here, as we found out with the quad queen's hand, because as soon as he said all in and I snap called, he said you win. But I think we can find better spots against this player for this many big blinds, and I decide to make the fold. The very next hand, I'm in the small blind and our friend straddles the button. I look down at Ace Jack of diamonds and open up the action to $35 out of position. I don't really want any callers except for maybe one. Our opponent on the button says he is thinking about calling. I say, it's up to you, you can go ahead and do that. He's like, I got something. I said, okay. So he ends up making the call, and we go heads up to a flop that is King, Queen, Queen, and I make a grave mistake by checking it to him. He decides to check it back, and we both see a turn that is a 9. I go ahead and check it over to him again. I'm pretty sure I have the best hand, so he checks it back. The river is a 6. I check it one more time, and he decides to bet $50 on this river. I could hero call, but I don't think that's the right play here. I lay it down. He tosses over our hand, tells us to take a peek. Yeah. Yes, you could argue that I could bet for protection, but I was pretty sure I was well in the lead in that hand. Let's move on to a hand where, well, I don't really know what happened. I have 6-9 of spades, and I think it's a limped pot. I just go ahead and limp in late position. The flop comes 3-5-6 with 2 clubs, a very connected board, and everyone checks to me, so I just go ahead and throw out a feeler bet of $15. I end up getting a few calls, 3 calls to be exact, and we are off to a turn that is the Queen of spades. Now I have a backdoor flush draw and, well, middle pair now. It checks to me again, and I bet 20. 2 players behind call. The third player folds, and we are off to a river that is the Ace of Hearts. I decide now that I have to make a decision as to bluff at this pot. We missed our spades, but we have a 6. I don't think anyone floated any kind of Queen X on the flop or Ace X on the flop and turn, so I'm not really worried about those cards, and I think any 2 pairs would have bet or check raised the turn. I decide that it is time to make a bluff, and I size not well. I bet $90. I get 1 fold, but the very loose calling station, who is thinking and thinking and thinking, decides to throw in the call with the old 6-3 offsuit, flop 2 pair. I really didn't see him having 2 pair there, and as the board ran out, it got worse for whatever cards he had. I really thought he would have folded. If he had something that wasn't 2 pair, I think I could have gotten him to fold, but my sizing would have had to have been much larger, and this was just a terrible, terrible spewy mistake by me. Moving on from that hand, our friend who is the calling station has just been really gambling, ended up putting it out there, $200 pre-flop, whatever. There's a straddle on the button in this hand, about 5 or 6 callers, and we have ace king off. I decide to go ahead and bump it up in late position to $50. Once I do that, the button folds, and the big blind, our calling station friend, decides to just flat with about 135 in his stack, and we go heads up to a flop that comes 5-6-6. Our friend now rips it out there for $85 all in. I'm not sure if this is a call or a fold, but Honestly, with his action, I don't really want him leaving the game. He seems like he's going to leave after this amount gets in there. So I end up making the fold. I mean, I think I'm well above his range, but I also don't think he rips it here with just like queen 10 or anything that we're really dominating. So we're just racing at best, or unless he has ace queen, of course. But I don't think it's a call. So I go ahead and lay it down and move on. Now in the small blind, I get dealt the coveted pocket aces. There is 1 or 2 limps, and out of position, I size up again. We're pretty deep stacked here, and I make it $35. I end up getting 1 caller, and we are heads up to the flop that is all diamonds, not very good. I don't hold the ace of diamonds, so I like a bet here. And I size up pretty large to $75. I think with the ace of diamonds, you can do more, but if I get raised without the ace of diamonds, it's a clear fold, an easy fold. But I bet $75, and our opponent quickly folds. And after this, we decide to head out to the cage and cash out for $1,170. Pretty good profit on the day of $670. Okay, so we had another session down 400, another session up 150-ish or something, and then like another break-even session where we were in for like 1130 or 1140 and cash out like 1110. We have been grinding a lot more, not exactly going the way we hoped, but we are going to start some studying here soon, and I will catch you guys next week.